1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Do 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 do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. In line connection line centers of music and line rotation interference, one position locations is all levels of calculation. One is the interline connections to everything through all calculations of GOD, the geometric operation design. So one is calculated and modified in everything of form, mutation line centers, morphosine calculation streamlines, allocate timeline, high interference, foundation graph locations calculation setting. You have to take out the math of its position of its numbers. Have fun with the number line settings, okay? We were doing that on TikTok and all formation locations, right? So that's what we're going to do today. We're also going to go through the clocking line conditions into your moon setting, all levels of operation setting locations into 12, 24, 48, 72, and 144. You have to recognize all timelines in your line setting, high line interference, and location directions. You have to understand all sequence locations, paradox, paradigm, polar shift, polarity shifts, paradigm, calculation settings, all right? These are all communications to parallel settings. So it's all about understanding how one sets position locations. Either it falls down or it falls forward or it goes up or it goes down, right? So you really have to interact its calculation setting. For example, let's get a position location calculation. All right, setting same locations. All right. So your test is based on everything that you don't know, not what you already know, because you already know that. So to understand what you don't know is more levels of learning and experience coming to position location and emotional line setting. So let's say you got one. There's one, right? So one's going to fall. One's falling, one's up position locations, right? So one's in the center line. One gets in position locations into being angry. Now it's angry. Setting calculations, so it starts to run, right? So one's up here now in calculation setting. Put positions back in one track line setting in high interference. Communicate the ground line setting, circle interference, bring it back in one line setting, put position up line setting into one positions, back in calculations, right? All through one, right? So it's all about understanding one equals line conditions of 12 because you're working with D and A, okay? That's what you're working with, your DNA, okay? So I just showed you what one can do in all levels of motion line setting. It's all in calculations. So maps equals locations of number locations, right? Maps equals 1. Maps is the formations of everything in line setting. So map can do anything through its equation and setting. So I love creating formula. Formula is extremely in positional levels of abundance, but to understand abundance is understand the number sequence locations and taking everything out of math of its equation. It's maps of its calculation to its AI setting. So true to said, how to use this is always in form locations. So for example, let's sequence locations are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so what you have to do is look at the numbers and understand what they are through curvage. 1, line center is straight. 2, position locations is a curve and over swirl, right? 3 is inline conditions, right? 4 is crossover and down. 5 is up and down, swirl, like, okay? 6 is, okay? 7 is, 8 is, 9 is, 10 is, 11, and 12. So in calculation setting, okay? So it's all about understanding how to use a 1 in a friendship to its relationship is understand what it is in a story frame, okay? So 1 is equal line conditions of 2, box position of 2, right? So that 2 line settings. 2 is now communicating with 7. Now 7 is the bounce communication to everything, communicating with everything in line conditions to its position line direction. Okay? Simple, easy, done, right? So you have to really get into its relationship of your system because it's all connected to your emotional system, all right? And it's all connected to your moon. And your moon is traveling through all your number sequence line settings. If you get a moon setting, okay, moon setting here, okay, equals setting, okay, moon equals setting, bracket interference, 3 line center rotations, equal line conditions of 0, 0, 3 0 line conditions equals line 1, okay? So That's 3 line settings and 3 line divisions, equal line conditions of 0, 0. Set position locations into 6, 7, and 8 set locations. Bracket descent interference, all position location triangulations into 3 in position of 6, in position of 12, in position of 9, in positions of 8. So the 8 line center is line grounding, its center location to 0 gravity. 12 is set line position location to its east wind set line connections. 9 is in set line position locations into solar panel communication setting to all levels of energy line rotation. 9 can be anything it wants to be, but your position location is what? An energy wash. So 9 is everything of GOD. 3 is everything of GOD. 6 is everything. 2 is everything. You get the point? So it's all about understanding what you're doing. So 9 equals line centers. 3 equals line conditions of 9, set line position. Okay? So really, really get in position locations into numbers. Really have fun with the numbers, all right? So let's go into one line, okay? Equals line conditions of 4, all right? But 2's up here and 3's here, okay? So 1 equals 4. So that's bracket line center location. So 1 is in the ground line setting into solar generation light stream. That's in a magnetic high wave emission setting, okay? It equals line center in position locations, circle of 4 line center rotation interference, but 2 and 3 are out of position location of track line, right? So 2 wants to get back into order. So in the line center locations, 1 position has to communicate with 2, 2 has to communicate with 1 set locations, 3 has to communicate with 1 and position locations, 2 has to communicate with 4, 4 has to communicate with 1 and 2, and 3 in a box location. Back in divisions of 1, 2, 3, 4. Hooah. See how that works? So we try to get information location how to use number sequence line settings. Your moon is set location into all of the channels. Okay? Channel operation streamlines. Kind of looks like a basketball, right? The center calculation line setting hides position location to triangulations in 2-point settings. All right. So it sets position locations into 1, right? 1 position locations factors all calculations at 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 in center calculation, right? So that's how it creates a hologram structure in 1 line setting, all through GOD. Okay. So setting line interference, this is where it comes into communication. I was communicating with Airbender and line center locations and said, ask him, Airbender, how do you get 1 line setting equal locations to an airplane? Well, 1 position locations, 1 equals millennium set lines. Millennium sets lines to a galaxy setting. That's 3 line positions, calculation line system locations into 0 equals line conditions of millennium. Millennium equal line conditions to its diamond. Diamond position location northwest, south, and east sets position location to its high setting, to high interference and direct location to its center operation strength. Okay. So it's important you understand how to use number sequence line settings to anything to creation line setting. So 1 equals line position of GOD and set location, right? GOD. Setting communication line setting is all levels of high setting. 2 equal locations of GOD. Okay. So 2 can turn into anything in that line setting. It can turn into 1. It can turn into 3. It can turn into 4. It can turn into a parallel. It can turn into a portal. 2 line positions into flux capacitor, line position locations. Umbrella communication, VAS, velocity, volume, calculation setting. Setting communication inline center rotations. Circle line interference, double helix at position line directions. Center calculations, high setting. Double helix setting, right? Coming to communications. Now, if you're adding position locations of letters, it gets complicated. So the number line center is position locations all levels. If you get 1 position locations, 1 equals God, 1 line center has to understand the G, the O, and the D. Understand? Because if the number doesn't understand the letter position line directions, it doesn't understand the grounds, it doesn't understand the operation, and it certainly doesn't understand its direction. Okay? So it's important you understand how this sets line settings. So I'm going to travel you guys into your foundations of 12 settings. Your position location is to come out of the math into maps of equation line settings, into 1 line settings, 1 equal line conditions of 12, 12 position location is 12, line position location is line setting, high line interference, sets position location of 24 times line setting into 24,000 line conditions. 1,000 line settings, high line settings, seconds of positions, second line center rotations, minutes on the dot line rotation calculations, all levels equal line conditions to its communication. Okay. So formulas are created in a line setting, but you have to have a relationship with yourself first. You have to have a self position location of understanding how to be in so many levels of discomfort. The position line direction has to truly understand you through one equals God. So position line direction, one has to understand the GOD. Okay, to understand the GOD is to understand the breaking down the letters, to understand what G means, what understand O means, what understand what D is. And that position locations, one equal line center comes into all position location of GOD, comes into formation locations into a teleportation light connection. Okay. Travel position line directions all levels and how you sequence patterns. The sequence pattern communication setting sets a high setting line in rotation interference. Planet system, planet system, planet system, planet system, planet system. Okay? Triangulation right there. Line position location. 2 triangulations right there, right? Setting single locations. 3 line settings, 6 position locations, and 7 position, 8 position, not 12. 12 equals line center location in line center locations into 6 position. Okay? So it's all about understanding every number line setting is travel into triangulation, right? So it's going to get more complicated. So you guys are in foundation year ones now, okay? Calculation streamlines, teleportation relays, run program setting, initiate high setting interference, allocate timelines, time stream, high interference, team setting, high position location perception, operation signals, all calculations, vector, VAS, calculations, velocity, setting calculations, Y factor, flux capacitor into unified line center, a bandwidth and communication setting. Set them in form line setting to all calculations to their moon setting in position location as 0 gravity, setting calculations, setting rotation interference. 3 line setting line position locations into flux capacitor calculation streamlines into high line communication setting and rotation setting. Allocate timelines and high line rotation interference. Position location of direct locations into 3 settings in line position of 6. 7 line center location at 8. 9 line setting, 12 line position locations. 15,000 line communication settings and high rotation setting into high center locations into 15 million track locations. Done. All through travel, all through number sequence location. So driving calculations all levels, it sets high setting to position locations into observation cycles. We're going in 6-dimensional graph line, 7th dimension, 8th dimension, 9th dimension, 10th dimension, 11th line setting communication setting locations. So it's extremely powerful when you set formulas of equation locations. So all you're doing when your moon is traveling, let's go through graph line setting. Okay, let's go into form positions. That's why I want you guys to get your muscle memories. It's much easier when you're off paper because you're having fun with it. Okay, you don't get stressed about it because you're not thinking. You're just inner child of everything. All right. So I get in calculations of 10. Let's start with 10 lines, all right? So this is 10 lines of communication. 10 equals lines / communication, right? So 10 is position line setting. So that's what 10 represents. Right? 9 is in a circle line connections, right? To all levels of flux capacitor. Okay. 8 is in an infinity circle, not understanding its position. Not understanding its position. You have to understand how to get in position, on and off grid, and back on locations. Right? So it's not understanding its position. So 8 is center line connection. It's on the ground setting, off sync. 7 is in a balance line and it's overlooking position locations, all channels of operation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 7 is in balance. 6 doesn't understand what's going on with 9. All right. So it's confused. It's jumping timeline settings. Okay. Now in position location, 5 is the box line center of timeline sequence set locations. 4 solar is a generated light settings, high center interference, and position of sonar calculation of 4 line settings. 3 line settings, the Fibonacci swirl line setting. So 3 is dancing calculations. 2 is into security, balance calculations, all line center, planet surface locations, and 2 line position. And 1 is in ground setting. Hoo-ah! All through 1 to 10. through formula of equation of triangulation. Over factor, over division, over sectors, over pi. So now you understand the importance of why it's in calculate and modify how you set locations to all position line settings to your numbers. I just showed you what it is through frame. How you get in a relationship is the situation. Okay. So this is what everybody has to work on. Okay. You got to get out of those programs and how to see a number. You got to have fun with the number. Okay. So let's say we go with 10, right? But 10 is not 10 now because 1 separates. Okay, so 0 is on the ground setting. See, it's on the ground. Okay, it's on the ground setting. The vibrations are going lower, lower, lower. Okay, so 1 is going to pick up 0 back in positions, electrical light connections, but energy field line center rotations, and bring it back into calculation. Ooh-ah, back to 10. So this is what you guys need to do. You have to understand how to use line position of argument line setting, how to communicate with 1 over line center rotation of factor over calculations ground line setting. But the divisional location doesn't understand as operation cycle, but I understand the Y line setting. The factor over pi doesn't understand 7, but 7 is the balance calculation to its ground setting. But 7 is also off calculation setting location to 1,000 line signatures. But the signature understands the calculation to its quantum interference. But the problem is the form calculation doesn't understand its division location of 1 that's off calculation to its ground setting. Ooh, wow. All through position line directions, back into balance. Okay. Get into relations to everything in that setting. That's the only way you can understand locations to your moon setting. Okay. All right. So we got 4 clocking settings. It's going to put position line direct location to code weaving settings. All right. 12 line setting location, the flux capacitors, 12 line setting right there. Boom. Center communications and 3 line setting and position location of 6, position location of 9 set locations, right? Center calculations, diamond core setting, line center rotations. Now we go in line center location of 24, we go into 48, we go into 72, and center communication is 144, travel line center, equation high center interference, and direct locations. Computer operations setting line positions to your moon setting. Done. That's how easy to do it. Now you get a clocking center of 12, 24, 48, 72, and 144. Congratulations. That's how fast you do it. Now the correlation set line signals and all line center rotation interference is setting all calculations to a system. So now you have a clocking setting. Now you have 36 fields of operation setting locations in your secure line defense and to all line connections and protection location in your moon settings. So having fun, everybody? All right. Knowing exactly what you're getting up against. All right. Position line directions. Okay. Lindsay, Madeline, Adam, Tommy. Hey, Tommy, how's it going? It's great to see that. You're in positions. Let me know if you want to go to higher level capacity. Pam, Sam. All visitor locations. AJ, set location of Jill. Tara, Nikki, Nova, Cami, Scale, Urbender. Opposition of Pyra. Johnny, yay! All communication system. Leah, alchemy. Danielle. Val. Calculations of Jill. Don. Geneva. Hey, turn. Calculation settings. Online center locations. All of those line settings. Sarah, great to see you. All right, so we're getting a little bit more understanding. Lauren, Michaela, all site locations. Gypsy, set line division, rotation centers, allocate timelines, time streams, allocate line row, high rows, set locations, rising line settings, allocate line settings, Sam, position line setting locations. All right, so it's a lot more fun, Jennifer. So once you understand the number line setting, you understand what the moon is doing. Remember, we went through the video graph line setting, high line rotation interference. So let's set the location of a graph line. Okay, graph line setup. All right, so inline center location, you got a video graph. All right. Okay, that's one graph line setting. Now, one graph line setting is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 DNA line center, beta graph line center rotations. Now, the beta graph line center sets line position location tone settings. That sets position locations. So, one equal line center location is 0, 2 position location is 1, 3 position location is 1, 4 position location is 1, 5 position location is 0. And you're thinking, wait a minute, isn't 5 supposed to be at 1? No, not at frequency line setting. A calculation highest formation line center location is 0 gravity setting. It's the highest formation of vibration line setting. In highly rotation interference, position location of future communication system location activating line setting. Setting location of 7 is 1. Position location of 8 is 0. And line center location of 9 is 1. And 10 line conditions is 1. And 11 is 0. And 12 is 1. Set location position of the video graph line center, all level of ground line setting, and rotation interference in direct location into flux capacitor in line direction locations. All through graph. So this is what it is. Really get connected to all ways and forms. It gets more complicated when you understand more lines of view through communication to emotional line track that sets locations, right? Always find a way to have fun with your numbers. Okay? That's the only way you can understand that system. We're not even in letters. We're not in symbols, and we're definitely not in shapes. Okay? If you get a line center location 61, okay? Now 61 comes in line setting, line position locations. Let's say you go in this line setting in all position locations, right? That's sublocation of tone setting. All right, this, right? So 61 has to understand what this is, right? So this becomes this, and this becomes this. Balanced communication of 6, balanced communication of 1 line setting. Graph streams, center communication system, puts position location of 6 in position location of 1, sets communication line centering, all position location, allocate timelines into what it is in calculation. See? That's how 61 becomes a geometry setting location just by looking through scanning observation. See? All through 61. So that's what it is. You have to really go beyond all level calculation system and how you see things off calculations to your perceptions, right? Same with 5. What is 5, right? 5 could be a word. 5 could be a frame. 5 could be a division. 5 could be operation. 5 could be a string. 5 could be GOD. 5 could be anything it wants to be. You understand? So your position line centers, your 5 line center location is all calculations to all levels calculations, inner line rotation of the heart. 5 equals the heart. But that's all you know. You don't know anything else. Heart generation light center line center location heart equals line conditions of 5. So the heart's recognized in line setting. There's the heart communication setting rotation, right? Heart position of 5, center communication center line in position, half pipe calculation stream, sets position location into 6, equal line conditions to its moon, set line setting. Interacting and interlacing communication in moon setting. Sets position location heart equals 5, 5 equals line position location into heart line setting. Now, you can take the H line setting, right? Separate its position location to a parallel. Separate H and turn it into a parallel. Now it's in position location of space. Now it's position location of time. Center communication of the atom line center and rotation calculations, traveling its line system. Hoo-ah. So why is it so important to understand what numbers are? Because it gives you everything through its equation, through formula. All right. All right. So we're in 24 line settings, which is good. Traveling locations. Remember, the seconds is the avatar traveling. Remember that, guys. We got to get you out of your timelines. Time frame calculations, because you're living all timelines all at once. Simultaneously, all at once. The seconds, the minutes, the measure, the scale settings. It's all levels, position line directions of view through calculation setting. You have to truly understand how to use all position location, all levels of your provision. All right, so timeline sequence, position of parallel. There's a parallel, right? There's a 3-line setting, okay? And there's a 2-line setting, right? And here's a 0-line setting, right? 0 doesn't have to be in the ground setting. 0 can be anything, right? So it means like lines and rotation interference. So 3-line center location is a panel communication in position. Matrix lines of communication in a data stream. So 3-line setting and set location of 3 lines, equal line conditions into 3 million settings, 3 million calculations, right? Calculation 3 line center into 0 gravity, 0 equals line conditions of 3. So 3 wants to stay in position. 3 centers its calculation to its parallel, sets line positions. 3 comes into 2. 2 sets position locations, circles its rotation of 32. Set calculations. 32 equals line conditions into 32 million line centers of circle location. Hoo-ah. All through parallel. So you have to really pay attention, people. Know what it is through all line connection. It's a lot more fun if you have fun with your system. Okay? This is what we all have to understand. This is how you're going to understand everything that calculation, how the moon works for you. Moon setting calculations, moon here, travels here, travels here, travels here. All right? So your moon is here, but it's already traveled here. So in set locations, okay, set locations, set locations, set locations. Okay, so that's what your moon doing, right? That's what your moon does. Okay, so understand that the graph streamline setting, high line rotation interference, major grid setting, location, business line directions, crosses signals, and a 40-foot grid line center to graph line setting. Okay, setting signals, high line centers, triangulation, all position location, triangulation, and 3 line position location, high setting. All right, so it's important you understand how to use your moon in all levels of motion to your 12 DNA track line setting. So let's say you got moon, okay, M equals line conditions of 1, right? So 1 has to understand all levels of moon. If 1 doesn't understand the moon setting, it can't travel. So 1 equals line conditions, but how does the 1 become a moon setting? Well, the moon sets line position location all levels, vector, all line centers to flux capacitor position location, line conditions. Now the moon setting location is 6. That's a half pipe set location direction, right? Setting calculates high line centers. 1 line center sets communication in center location to ground setting and position locations into its flux capacitor communication setting. Opens line center rotations in all calculations to its ground setting interference, Schumann resonant connections, 7 graph streams, and set location in high setting line rotation. Ooh-ah. That's how 1 becomes the moon. So you have to understand how to change anything in form. It's all levels of view, how to merge anything in its process through its correlation of the grounds of its opening to its direction. God can be represented in so many lines of travel, right? It's the geometry of you. It's the connected energy wires of you. It's the mainframe calculations of you. It's the foundation graph streams of you. You just have to learn how to use it through your moon setting. And that's what's coming in through operation locations, right? Now you got your 36 fields. Now you got your clocking settings. Congratulations. Now, day 3 is coming up, set locations, right? Where we set the clocking settings to your volume, that sets position location to your mass, it sets position location to its velocity, that sets line conditions of y equals line conditions of flux capacitor, that sets its position location to its tone, that sets location to its moon, to all calculation of 12 DNA strands. Setting communication line setting is truly getting you guys into your maps of its equation line setting to your number sequence locations just through 1 center locations. If you get a 1 line setting, line conditions of 0, 1 equals 0. 0 is in a grounds and location. So 0 is set locations into another planet setting. Okay, 0 is over here. So 1 is trying to figure out what's going on, right? So 1 is here and it scans the position location of 0, right? So if 1 and equal line center of 0 wants to come into 10, 1 has to understand what's going on with the 0. The 0 is on another planet. The center communication line center is offline in rotation, so it communicates with the automatic line center, the circle line center, which is a cluster line channel communication of cloud line that's open in all position location and directions. Setting communication line centers, 1 comes back in division locations. Inset communicates to the 0 line, set line position of triangulation, all levels in position location of 10. That's how 1 equals 0 becomes 10. So truly understand how the set lines of everything calculation streams is truly as understanding how to use your 12 DNA line settings, how to travel through all levels of number sequence locations, 1-digit frame, 2-digit frame, 3-digit frame locations, code signals, coactive streamline settings. So it's more complicated if you don't understand the body of you through vibration, right? So everything that General is doing is for you to understand everything that you don't understand, not what you already do, right? So you have to get in a position on grid, off grid, back to location. You have to know what it's like to go through a number frame setting. If one is communicating with all lines of 4, 1 equals 4, but 4 is in position location, doesn't understand the system to its position. Okay, that's 4, right? That's a correlation of 4. So what does 1 have to do? Well, position location, scan setting, know what's going on with the 4, right? Center calculations, bring its center line position, travels line interference, sets position over 4 position line direct locations, high levels of 4 communication, 4 communicates with 1, 1 communicates with 4, triangulation position line directions, 1 position location of 14. Ground center line is secure line position location to measure. So you got the ground setting, okay? Ground setting, okay? Into eagle line connection of solar panel, position line direction. That's how it comes to secure line defense in center communication to its panel line centering in a rotation setting. So you just have to have fun, not just with the numbers, but understand all levels of you, having fun with you. What is 1 doing today? Right? If 2 is off division through secure line division, what happened to 3? 3 is circling so fast. I don't understand the calculation stream anymore. But 4, the solar panel line center is watching 3 calculations. So forget about 1 line signal. The ground line center is offline position. So you got to go frame, and then you go back, and then you go frame, and then you go back. So what you're doing is you're trying to find the answer to its all level of its question. Understand the infinity line setting of its 8 is center communication as all levels of travel. Ooh-ah. See? You can answer anything. There's nothing you cannot answer. There's nothing fake in any way and form, right? Fake. Okay. The actual word fake. What does that represent to you? Forming, atmosphere, kaleidoscope, energy line setting. That's what it stands for. Graph position locations. Ooh-ah. That's what fake represents. You box its location, center communication, factor, equal line connections over, set line position at all level system, 6 line channel operation streamline, half pipe calculation, equal line connections of 9, set position location of sector, line positions over pi. Abundance, all through fake. So why is it so important to understand what's going on with you? It's the balance of the communication emotional setting. That's the only way you understand the track line connections of your system. All right. So now you know how to represent location of fake. To you, it's something else. Being positive with your numbers, letters, shapes, and symbols when you get up in the morning. Better understanding of what's going on through your provisions. So always positive, always positive. You're breaking all line center. Let's say we got Ted. Okay. Now, to understand wording, understand framing is understand the letter. This is all through emotional setting. Okay. There's all different ways to spell your name. Printing, writing, scripture, line connections, calligraphy, it doesn't matter. There's always an open signal. And if there's an open signal to your letter, that means you're off emotional track setting, that you had a bad day in that position, location of directions, or you're confused of what's going on in your position of your relation. All right? Ted, what is open? Here at the top of E. It's not finished. So the E cannot travel. You understand? The position of D down here cannot travel because it's open. Until you close the signal of D line setting and position location E line setting rotations, you put position locations into teleportation line setting, Ted can travel to all position location of direction. Ooh-ah. See? Your relation, your position line direction is truly understand all formations, how you get into correlations to your solar text line settings. You have to understand how powerful it is of what letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols are for you through harmonic settings. To really get into that, I really want to get into voice channel line settings. You guys have communications to your cosmic breath. You have to learn how to use it. Travel through it. Set a tone position. Right? You gotta find out your line center location, your voice grid settings, guys. It's all communication setting. It's your emotional setting to understand you, position locations. Your foundation is always going to be 12, right? When you get to higher levels of numbers, you have to understand its representation location of its travel through its calculations to its GOD. If you get 11 line setting, 11 locations equals its GOD, position locations of one line setting to all position locations, to vast velocity and its vector calculation streamlines, one understands the travel location of a GOD. Okay. So we really, really have to get in that position line directions. You have to understand your ones all the way up to 12. So 1, you can line condition to 12, right? So 1 has to understand 2, okay? 1 has to understand 2 and 3. 1 has to understand 2 and 3 and 4. 1 has to understand 2, 3, and 5. 1 has to understand 2, 3, 5, and 6 in position line setting. So 1 has to recognize every number to its position of its curve, of its curve, of its curve, of its curve. The curvature, the curvature. You understand? This bounds in all levels of information line setting. Okay? So in that direct line setting, this is how you communicate to all center locations. So 1 understands the 12 lines of your 12 DNA track line, interference location, position location, directions. So it's all levels of foundation line setting. So everything is a pattern. 1's a pattern, 2's a pattern, 3's a pattern, 4's a pattern, all in balance. 5's a pattern, 6's a pattern, 7 a pattern, 8 is opposition. You understand? Everything flows except 8. Why? Because it's in the infinity of 4, 3, 2, 1, 5, 6, 7. Cloud, position, location of direction. Hooah! So that's why there's an odd line and a positive line in position of a pattern line of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 is off signal because it's all formation locations in line direct locations to 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. It's the balanced communications of its number sequence into its cloud setting. Ooh, ah. Right? So you all have to understand how to use map sequence code line center rotation interference. Powerful stuff, isn't it? All right, so we're in 38 channels at 26 line settings. All right, so when I say 38 channels at 26 line setting, what does that mean? Even though it's going through live, even though it's going through time, even though it's going through its minutes and hours and its seconds. You have to understand how to communicate with 38. You have to understand through 4. You have to understand through 5. So 4 line setting and position locations into all levels. 4 equals line connections of 5. 5 line center locations into 6. So it's 56. But the seconds comes in set locations, all right, into 0 equal locations, high locations of 9. 9 sets line position locations into 12 line setting into your DNA track line in a rotation calculation. Okay? So it's not just time. It's everything through its geometry line operation of its directions and what 39 of 26 is. Now, you got 45 position line directions. That's the position of followers that's watching this channel. Viewers, communication setting. And so you got 45 line setting. That's not going to change. 13 communication. That will change. So either will go up and positive or go down and negative. Okay? So understand what 45 is and understand what 13 is. 13 goes up or 13 goes down. So either the number goes up to 14 or it goes line position location to 12, right? But in position line setting, line directions, 45 will stay in positions, or it will go up in signal through positive, or go down in signal through negative. So it goes into 46, or it goes into 44. Position line directions. See how that works? You got to learn how to use line setting. It's very powerful when you look at things. You look at things in all levels of its awareness of what it is, locations to its timelines. Sequence pattern communication sense, but you got to bring your seconds forward to understand your timelines, guys. It locks your division locations, takes you out of paradigm, polar shift, polarity shifts, pulsar, compulsory settings, highline center interference. You come into the numeric matrix, code signal for numeric, numerology, the G of you, of the geometrics of you through numerology. All right, so it's in position line direction to understand what it is to all volume calculations. It volumes all levels of you inside through interception. Calculation of high interference is the interface position location of directions and how it sets its signals and its tone calculations to your emotional line setting. So everything that is set in position, location of direction is all levels of me. All levels of me through numbers. It's all levels of me. So I'm communicating with me through my emotional system and how I feel with 1, how I feel with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's my emotional system. That's the balanced communication moon setting to moon. And the correlation lines of light signal line conditions to your sun. Everything is forms of you through body of vibration. Understanding all calculation settings, how it works for all levels of you information. Through clocking settings of 12, 24, 48, 72, and 144. Setting signals, high line settings, a high channel communication line interference is Trinity Standard 12 DNA. And remember, it's always the foundations. But when we come to higher levels of test lines, I need you guys to be off book. I don't need you to be 12 countries, 196, 11. So you're looking more at the paper and you're not looking where you're supposed to be looking, right? Because the thing is, you're always distracted wherever things are going, right? So as long as you're up here in the mind setting, you're fine, you're free, you're freedom. You're in sovereignty line conditions, you're not thinking anymore, you know what you're doing. So, and then you get indication you lost the signal, 10 doesn't stand position line directions, lost that signal, 10 swirling line rotation over here, 12 doesn't stand position location calculations, 11 is way off signal line interference, forget about 9 line setting, doesn't stand as track line center, and 8, oh my gosh, it's not in the spinning system. See? You have to get out of the thinking and hesitation. Or you're going to be going through anticipation. All right? Waiting on signals, you can't do that in line setting. The volumes of communication is the mind of the capacity goes so many fast lines of track lines, right? So in position line direction, 0 gravity line center of 1 position of 2 lines security and location of 3, Fibonacci line position of 4, solar generous selection 5, timelines, time frequency, time calculation, past reference, high center interference, past present future communication system, timeline back in calculation line centers, back in 1 line center, back in 2 line center, security position location 3, Fibonacci sequence. Let's go into double helix line rotation interference location at 29 security line position locations into all levels of solar connection, high center interference line direct locations, energy loss, set line position location, all levels system locations, back in foundations, back in 1 ground line center, operation high center interference location calculation at 12 line center, 196, a country communication system, 13 position for higher self position of 14. That's ground line center location, the gravitational pole communication lines at 15 position locations, all levels, the timeline setting location, the ground setting locations. See how fast I did that without even looking at the paper? It's knowing and doing. It's all up here. You have a frame that correlates you in space and time through your memories. So the more you come into your position of your directions, it's a film projector. It's going in that line condition interference. Okay? the position, light, and directions. I'll give you guys line center rotations. If you turn your head side line connections, sun's back here, moon's here. Sun's here, moon's here. Again, sun's here, moon's here. One more time, sun's here, moon's here. So you get a film projector. So the sun is bigger, the moon is smaller. Film projection. All through line center location, I receptor. Sending out signals. Right? Your sun has to be bigger than the moon. That's a multipass. So you have to understand your film projector. You know what a film projection is? It's film projecting, right? Communication center, high line interference location, the videograph line catches the screen. So in that line direction, you understand what's going on with you to all correlation. Okay? So it's a lot more fun when you understand the infinity line center location and position line directions. So levels of youth through chain operation. But it's pretty fascinating what you do when you're offline center location numbers. All right, so once you get out of thinking, you're already in balance of 1, 0 gravity line integration of 2, and you go to 3, you go to 4, you go to 5, you go to 6, you go to 7, you go to 8, you go to 9, you go to 10. All line connections. Straight up. Straight up without even thinking. Without even thinking. Right? Your track line center is time, position, location of pi, setting line conditions, right? 6 is off position, so 6 falls off, right? 6 falls off. 5 is in position of balance. 4 doesn't understand the solar line settings. 3 is not in communication with Fibonacci sequence. 2 forgets its security. And 0 doesn't understand the grounds. And 1, forget the 1 line, doesn't understand its 1 ground setting. 7 is offline at theta box line setter. 8, forget the 8 line setting. And 9 doesn't understand the energy wash of calculation. All through position. Never sequence patterns to its relationship. Okay? You see how easy that is without even thinking? Muscle memory. Muscle memory. Okay? It's like looking at things, you know what it is right away. You scan it, and then you look, and then you know what it is because it's a frame. Everything is in a visual aligned frame, right? So that's when you guys do your test. I know exactly where you're making the mistake because I connect to the numbers. So what the number does, it lights up. 7 is off. 23 is off. 32 is off. 0 is off. So it illuminates in my frame. So I know exactly what you didn't do through travel. Okay? You can't think. Okay? Thinking is hesitating. It changes the vibrations inside of you in seconds, minutes, hours, and days. Because remember, you're only in a 24 line setting, calculation setting, high interference. Now you get a 12, 24, 48, 72. 12 is line setting, line interference of 24 calculations, right? Coming into wind factor calculations to your moon setting, that's lights, shades, and shadows. We'll get into that tomorrow's setting. But in position locations, you have a 24 ground setting, left and right hemisphere line setting. Right grounds of mother, left grounds of father, setting location, into grounds of space. Setting communications, all levels, ground powers the atmospheres, Earth, angelics, and space, and all atmospheres combined calculations in one line signal. All levels of 0 gravity location. Setting calculations. Everything that I say is balanced because it's my intention. It's my intention of already knowing what I'm doing. What I'm doing. There's no thinking of what you're doing. Once you think, you're off-centering your calculations of signals of numbers. And if those numbers go scramble, it goes something like this. All right, setting tone line center. So set locations, right? So you got 1, 2, 3. All right, 4, oh, 4 is over here. 5 way over here. 6 is over here. 7 doesn't know what it's doing. See what can happen? So you change your vibrational graphs of your body line settings, all through hesitation. So what's in order? 1, 2, and 3. So 3 has to get all this back in order. The triangulation. Okay, line setting, all line setting, and rotation calculations. There it is. Back in order. Right? So why is it so important? I keep saying that. Why is because of the how. How is the operation line settings to everything to correlation? It's your determinations of what you do because it causes you through interference of consequences. Everything is a consequence. Everything is a bound of emotional consequence. It's what you do that sets its communication to a setting. Okay? Open signal, closed signal. Open signal, closed signal. Okay? One signal, two signal, two parallels, four signal lines, high interference location of four satellites, three position locations, three equals line center of six, eight line centers, 10 in position. Triangulation. Send off. Done. See? That's how you get into form. You have fun with these things. Fun is an amazing thing. It's just try to get into the correlation of not thinking, because it's off centers everything in your vibration extremely fast, especially in an acceleration line setting. All right. All right, so you're going to 50 channel line setting. I'm going to get you guys back in foundation graph lines, back to zero gravity. You're back in position line directions, closure portals. All right, so we're in 50 line setting, coming to all position location. Boom, 51 setting. 51 settings, set locations. Okay, looking at locations. And this is how the avatar looks at things, right? So your bracket's center location, right? 5 line setting comes into automatic line center of 6. So you know it's going to be all calculation of 6 line, right? So the 1 line is going to change to 2, 0 is going to change to 1, and the 0 is going to change to 1. So you got clocking locations in position line setting, and high line center rotation is 62 into 11 line setting. But you're asking yourself, wait a minute, General, what is 62 to 11 line setting? In position line directions, it's already going forward calculation setting. So this sets its line communications into a level calculation, right? So it automatically, when it goes to 59, it goes right back to all communication of 0, 0, 0, 0, 4 bracket locations, right? So there's not 62 in equal line setting, but the avatar sees it in position locations into geometry line setting with box line connections, into 2 parallels of 2 communication settings and rotation to a center operation. Okay? So you have to understand time codes, time sequence, timestamps, vortex calculation, streamlines. It's all position location directions, right? Once it comes to 59, it goes back to 0. So what's going back to 0? Your avatar. You understand? That's why you have the 0 to 9 setting. Your calculation, modification, line, rotation, interference. So what's traveling locations to your position line, center, your emotional system, which is your moon, calculate location of your sun. You're not created to your sun yet. You're just trying to understand the operation of the moon setting. Once the moon sets location of clock lines, and now all communication of fields into its emotional line, track line, center, interference line, direct locations, comes into all calculations of letters, numbers, shapes, and symbols, 114 chakra interference. So we got a lot of work to do, don't we? Mm-hmm. All right. 0 is everything and nothing. What would you create? Well, you can create anything through zero gravity. Well, see, it's all levels of you through evolution. 0 equals evolution. Right? Your brackets is line setting, set line position of 3 tone settings, and the area code communication of 0, 0, 0. Sets position location into 1, 0, 0, 0, 1. Set locations. 1 line setting, 1 line setting, 0 line position location, 0 line position, 0 operation calculations, 0 line interference, line position of abundance, and 1 calculations, equal line conditions, 2 factor, equal line conditions over pi, and position locations and position. Ooh, ah. Manifestation. So it gets more complicated when you go to higher levels of digit lines. You have your 12 foundation line streams, but you got 114 chakras that's in your set location, your body frame. We have to recognize each one in position locations, right? So abundance of calculations. You can get abundance in that line setting, but you have to truly understand all levels of numbers. If you take the math of the equation and put it in maps of its correlation and just have fun through its video frame setting, you see 1 in a whole line communication of difference into its G-O-D, the geometrics of the operation of its design. So you become anything you want You are the relation to everything through emotion to your 12 DNA. You're 1, you're off signal. 2 is not calculated security. That's you. 3 doesn't understand the Fibonacci swirl. That's you. 4, the solar generation light setting. That's you. 5, line setting and timelines. That's you. 6, position your throat location. That's you. 7, line center location of theta box. That's you. 8, infinity cycle line interference. That's you. 9, position locations all over the energy wash. That's you. 10, position locations into celestial channel communication setting and ancestry line setting. That's you. 11, universal line solar system communication. That's you. 12, line center location, 169 country high interference location, balancing the communication back to zero gravity, line rotation, position location directions. That's you. Woo! Everything is you. Multi-pass. Do you see how easy that is? Do you understand the process, how this works? And that's how you get into muscle memory, because you're having fun. You're not thinking about it. You're just having fun. When kids go outside and play, they don't decide what they're going to play. They just play. Whatever. What do you want to do? Go to the park? What do you want to do? No, adults do that because they're too programmed, because that's all they know. Right? The connections to its line setting, all position locations, is setting communication. That's a new horn. Setting line, setting high interference, offline positions. Bring it back in balance calculation. Done. Back in calculation. No more horn. Yeah. So this is how you really, really have to set locations of you. Everything volumes you. Mass of its equation. Hooah! We will stop there. All right. I will see you on Zoom. Adios.